Hi, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am so glad you're here. Today's date is Monday, December 11th, 2023. A few days ago, Netflix put out a new movie called Leave the World Behind, and I've had several viewers ask me if I would do a reading on them. I will. Now, two of those readers had some specific questions that I thought were excellent. I want to share those with you, and we're going to move on from there to one of my comparison reads, where we'll compare their two thoughts and hypotheses, and then have a third row that just is general insights or information about this subject matter. Okay, now if you're not familiar with the movie in question, it involves a couple of families that are away from a large city when a big event happens that impacts the electrical grid, satellite navigation, etc. And I'll leave it to you there. I don't want to do any spoilers in case it's a movie that you want to see. So let me just share with you, though, that Delving Eye in Connecticut, and Delving Eye would like everybody to know that even though Connecticut is a very blue state, there are some red members there. Delving Eye said, asked, is this movie communication or an act of submission by the Obamas, Julia Roberts, etc., who have sold their souls to Satan, the cabal? And then Denise wondered if the movie was a warning predictive programming. So we have the two possibilities there, that it's predictive programming, a warning, because, you know, evil has to tell us, they have to tell us what their moves are going to be or potentially are before they can let them go into play. Or was this movie an act of submission? Okay, now it's not a humiliation thing because the movie seems to be fairly well done, but was it one of submission? And I thought maybe a combination of those two, and let's let the universe inform us of that. So again, I'll be doing a comparison read. The top row is going to be the cards take on, and this is for specific to this timeline that I am on and most of you watching this are on. Was this movie done as an act of submission to kind of telegraph some truths on the part of the Obamas who produced it and Julia Roberts and others who are in this film? Or row two, is it simply a warning, the predictive programming that they're required to do before they possibly put some plan into play? And then number three, just insights and information overall about this topic, not just the movie, but the topic of the movie, which was dealing with an unexpected catastrophe that was very large scale. And let's see what the universe wants us to know. I'm going to switch the camera. You can watch me work with the cards, and we will find out together what those three comparisons have to inform us about. 1 second. All right, we're asking about the Netflix film Leave the World Behind, which was released just a few days ago. And we'll be doing a comparison read of the hypotheses that this movie was done as an act of submission to those who had made deals with the cabal or deep state or Satan or some nefarious something. Or is it the predictive programming, the warning kind of that they have to do to let you know that there's a potential plan that may be put into play? They have to let you know ahead of time. And then just row three is going to be additional insights or information or advice about this subject in general, if not the movie in particular. There will be 5 cards in each row, and I'll explain what the position means for each of those as we go. Okay, the top row telling us that this movie was done as an act of submission. Okay, the first card on all 3 rows is the situation. Clarifying that, is the second card. Hidden influences, third card. Advice for this whole row and subject is number 4. And the fifth card is the potential outcome. Okay, second row, same format. We have the situation. Clarifying it a little bit, we have the second card, hidden influences. We have the third card, advice, and potential outcome. Now, overall, the universe's advice and insights to those of us watching this. We have card 1, that's our situation. Clarifying that, we have Page of Pentacles. We're looking good, folks. Number 3 is our hidden influences. Number 4 is advice. And number 5, potential outcome. Now, let's look at this comparison. I didn't mention what these cards were as I went. I'll do that real quick. Top row, we have the 4 of Wands, High Priestess, 10 of Cups, the 7 of Wands, and the 7 of Cups. Okay, now for this one, act of submission. Okay, we're getting that there was an agreement, that was indeed an element of why this was done. The High Priestess is our clarifying. She is usually in front of some information that is not quite public yet, but could be, will be, and definitely, you know, a duality type of card. So the hidden influences, we have a 10 of Cups, okay? And someone was really happy about having these people be involved in this production on this topic. It was, yeah, an act of submission on their part that someone's pretty happy that they made come about. Okay, now the advice is, we've got the 7 of Wands being our advice card for this. 7 of Wands is kind of take the high ground and know that even though the odds may seem to be against you, you've got that high ground, is kind of where this is coming from. So even though this is telling us of a potential event that may in fact roll out, we'll find out more about that in the second row. We're already getting told we will have what it needs to make our way through it, if that is the case. And then the potential outcome, there's lots of choices here. And again, when there's a possibility for an action that is unprecedented, we do have choices in how we react, in how we prepare, in how we say, hey, you know, I can only get ready to this extent, and I'm not going to worry about it until I need to worry about it. So just a reminder that we have choices in how we assimilate this information, how we act on it, and how we react to it, because it's much better to respond than to react. When you react, you can make some mistakes. When you respond, you've kind of thoughtfully considered your options and moved ahead. And that's always a good piece of advice. Okay, second row, we are with Denise's asking if this was some kind of a warning of a plan that could be put into play, that predictive programming that they have to do. And yeah, it is, absolutely. There was both elements. Both of these hypotheses had some truth to it. The fact that they were not happy to be kind of compelled to make this movie on this topic, and it was a price they had to pay. And then also now that it was predictive programming. Okay, the situation itself is indicated by the 5 of Swords, which is, first of all, 5s are temporary situations. And with this card, we have someone that's, they've thrown down their swords in disgust and walked away, is often how that's read. Okay, telling us that this wasn't a complete, they weren't really happy that they had to roll out this information right now. Okay, it wasn't what they wanted to do. It wasn't where they were at. The clarifier is the Death card, which indicates usually a long, slow change. And so, yeah, they weren't ready. They didn't want that out there now. They don't want us thinking kind of, you know, just doing that proactive planning, like, okay, if this happens, here's where I'll stay. Here's where I'll go. Here's who I'll reach out to. Here's what I'll have on hand, that kind of thing. Okay, Middle card, the 3 card, is the hidden influences. We have white hat influence here. Again, white heart influence on both of these. Yeah, so they made them kind of tip their hands a little before they wanted to. Now, the advice card is, again, if this were to play out, some kind of a natural catastrophe, and it doesn't, yeah, it can be totally natural. We are subject to electromagnetic pulses from the sun that could take out our electrical grid. And it would take weeks, if not months, in some cases, to repair and replace, things that went down if the grid goes down. So it's entirely possible. And this card is saying to have some careful with your resources. So think about that, folks. It's not really a matter of, will there ever be a solar event that takes out our electricity for a period of time? It's a matter of, when will it happen, and when will it happen? Now, I'm in a little lease right now, and my house is going to be small when I move. I have candles, several hundred hours worth of candles. I have a supply of emergency food. Okay, so yeah, careful with your resources. After that, I'm just going to live my life until there's something I need to put some of those little contingency plans into work on. And then the final potential outcome, if this were to happen, or they were to play this out in real life, and just know that it wouldn't be as successful as they wanted, we would be able to protect innocent life quite well. Okay, so again, by making them tip their hands to this possible plan to implement a man-made type of disaster, people will have it in their mind. It won't catch them by surprise quite as much. They'll kind of have a chance to do some proactive planning and think of how they'll respond rather than reacting. Now, moving on to just general insights about this. Okay, this whole topic of shenanigans happening that is widespread and hits the general population. Ace of Wands is our situation card here. It's actually a creative success card. So absolutely, by and large, by having this information out there in our collective consciousness, this potential out there, we're going to be quite successful in navigating our way through that with as much human kindness and lack of chaos as possible. In fact, surprisingly so. Page of Pentacles tells us a little more. One of the reasons I'm saying that we're going to get through this, if a natural disaster or a man-made one did affect us large scale, we'll get through it fine, because the Page of Pentacles is talking about worthwhile effort, that our diligence would pay off. Absolutely. Now, Justice card shows up here for the hidden influence. Again, through all this, we're getting white hat involvement, white heart involvement in this movie being produced, the subject matter getting out there and in our thoughts and minds. And it is a part of the white hat justice process, saying, no, we're not going to fool people anymore. We're not going to, you're going to telegraph your moves now, before you were ready. And people will have a chance to wrap their head around this topic and go, oh yeah, I see how this could happen naturally. I see how it could happen man-made. Here's what I think I would do. Okay. Knight of Pentacles is our advice. This is stability card. This is planning, forward motion, courage, but definitely stable action. Nothing rash or harsh in this card. Again, telling us, make some sensible preparations, just like you would if you anticipated upheaval in the financial markets. We've talked about that. Don't lose sleep over it. Prepare as much as you can. Have a little cash on hand, enough to tide you through a closure. And if you can't do more, or you don't have that, don't stress out about it. Do what you can. Because if you're ready to react without panic, you're going to get through any of these situations so much better, and bring those you love through it too. Now, the King of Cups is our last card here, the potential outcome here. It's kind of, the King of Cups can be a little tricky. Definitely, you'd want him on your side on a poker game. He's definitely in charge of his emotions. And again, this card is telling us to control your emotions. Don't let the tail wag the dog. Okay? Don't get so caught up in anxiety over potentials that you lose the capacity to just enjoy today. It hasn't happened today. Whatever this drama or upheaval might be, enjoy this day. Don't lose your joy simply because you're aware that there are potentials out here that would be difficult to navigate through, or a challenge. And again, when the time comes, respond with emotional maturity, respond with thoughtfulness, not reactiveness. Let's do a real quick recap. Netflix has a new movie out called Leave the World Behind, and it involves a possibly man-made catastrophe that families are dealing with, and it's a large-scale event. And one of my readers, Delving Eye, asked if it was possible, since the Obamas were producing this for Netflix and Julia Roberts in it, that people that had made deals with the devil were having to do an act of submission. I thought that was really interesting. Second hypothesis came from Denise, who said, is this a warning? Is this predictive programming? And I thought there was a likelihood that there's a mix there of those two things going on. So we did a comparison read and then just some overall advice. And yeah, there were a mix of the two things going on. In every aspect of this read, we got that there was some white heart involvement, white hat, white heart, okay? That the disclosures that are seen in this film, the acknowledgement of cabal, worldwide cabal, groups that meet and make decisions for, the rest of us, and on and on and on it goes as far as the topics that are touched on in that film. They were kind of forced to show their hand and to disclose this film, through this film, a lot of things sooner than they, being the bad actors, wanted to. Okay. And the reason is, while on the one hand, evil does have to let you know what they're going to do before they do it. Once you realize that's their playbook and this is a potential, you can wrap your mind around the possibility and make some sensible plans and then go about living your life, your best life. Okay. And when we got to the advice rule, that's kind of what it was, to respond with maturity and controlling your emotions. If there's an event that you have to deal with that's unprecedented, whether it's a natural disaster or a man-made facilitated one, or simply all man-made, whatever it is, make the preparations you have the means to do, kind of have a mental game plan of here's how here would be option A for how I'll do it, option B, option C, and just plan to carry through without panic or reserve, and know that these potentials could happen. And if they are, have a plan for them. But again, not to the point that you stay awake worrying about it, not to the point that you lose your joy of life. Absolutely not. Okay. Now, if your preparation is like mine, some candle power and some non-perishable foods and a few other things like that, do what you're able to do. Okay. And that's what we got with this comparison read, that there is a combination there. I kind of like the thought that the producers of that movie were kind of compelled to produce it, and it wasn't quite of their own total free volition. And I liked that very much. The Justice card showed up in our advice too. Just kind of know that whatever does end up happening, or the influences on this situation that is possibly being highlighted with the subject matter, the whole movie was an exercise in justice. So, I don't care if you don't want to do it, you're doing it. And here's the topic, and we're going to get people thinking about this and making some plans so they can respond rather than react. That's it for this video. I thank you so much for your time and attention. And I wish for you, first of all, the chance to make sensible decisions and sensible preparations for the unexpected to the extent that you're able to, but not at the expense of losing that, like I said, that joy of life. Speaking of which, until next time, I send you love and light and wish everything bright for you.